on? Johnny the Supplement Advisor. So here today with a very special review. This time it's on the much anticipated limited edition of PNS's Predator Red Beast edition. Now guys, firstly, a massive thank you to George, Liesel, everyone at PNS for making it happen once again. Now guys, Predator is obviously PNS's tried and true pre-workout formula. It has been off the market for a long while. I do remember first reviewing it about 4 years ago, as you guys can see from this actual piece of evidence here. So obviously a lot has changed, and as you guys can see, I've even taken a further shave. And obviously shout out to Hip South Africa, and even my facial is gone. So it's a bit of a different look, but embracing what we have. So with that being said, guys, let's get straight into the review. So what makes Red Beast different from the old Predator? Basically 150 milligrams of added caffeine we do have just thrown in the mix. Now guys, I know what you might be thinking. That's it? Just 150 milligrams caffeine added? But there's obviously a very good reason to that, and we're going to get into that right now after assessing the product label as shown here. Per full serving, you're going to get 25 grams, which is a nice decent dose, of course, especially for a hardcore stimulating pre-workout. So first we're going to get into anabolic amine rush system, which contains your long glucose polymers at 3.6 grams. Then you're going to get your arginine AKG, which works synergistically with your citrulline. The arginine AKG is at 1.5 grams, and it's there to the 6 gram hit of citrulline. So basically a 1-to-4 ratio, which I definitely like, because I do definitely feel the pumps are absolutely insane on this. You get your creatine NO3. I'm not sure what the NO3 is. Could just be creatine monohydrate, 2.5 grams. Then you get your beta-alanine, 3 grams, nearly at the 3.2 clinical dose. But as we know, beta-alanine helps with performance and also recovery too. And next up, you got your neuro substrate activators, being your caffeine anhydrous. As I did mention, guys, they have upped this up to an extra 150 milligrams, making it 200 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous in total. And again, this works synergistically with the next ingredient, which is your synephrine at 300 milligrams, guys. But it's still important to remember that the standardization is only 6%. So out of the 300 milligrams, you have to divide it by the 6. So you don't get too much synephrine, but it's still in there. Then you get your 1.3 dimeth, which is obviously the talking point here when it comes to a hardcore pre-workout, because in this African market, it's very rare to find anything with your 1.3 dimeth. So that's there at 45 milligrams. Next up, you got your Predator thermo-insulin regulator system, which is your raspberry ketones, African mango seed, and your chromium as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really the biggest fan of raspberry ketones, but it's there, and obviously this will help stabilize blood sugars with your chromium, and yeah, the raspberry ketones, I guess, help in some ways. People did kind of say with fat loss, maybe, yeah, but that's in there. And obviously for the future Predator, maybe, hopefully this will get changed, but as it stands, that's how basically they're keeping it as original as they can get, and that's obviously what they have added in the first place. So lastly, you got your Mayo anti-catabolic system, which is your BCAAs at 6 grams, and this can obviously help prevent muscle breakdown, but obviously EAAs would be a better option. As I said, I think this might be probably the last of the Predator before a complete overhaul, but we'll see what happens. But as it stands, guys, it looks good. Only thing missing is nootropics, in my opinion, and obviously maybe a high standardization of the synephrine, which will obviously help with the fat loss effect even more, and just in general thermogenesis. So with that being said, a really decent formula. The pumps are absolutely insane, and as I said, one of the only pre-workouts in South Africa with your 1.3. So definitely something for the hardcore junkies or someone that wants to try out a quite extreme illicit pre-workout. So guys, with the product label out the way, you can obviously tell that there is a reason why they have added in that 150 milligrams of caffeine, obviously to work synergistically with the other stimulants in the mix, which are synephrine and obviously your 1.3 dimeth. Now, as mentioned, obviously the synephrine is at 6% standardization, and obviously the 1.3 is not the highest that I've seen, obviously. And I think the reason for this is because obviously, number one, safety aspects and elements are obviously going to be questioned. And number two, as I always have mentioned before, weigh your stuff, especially when it comes to pre-workouts that are in a more hardcore nature, or your high-strength pre-workouts. Always weigh your stuff. You don't want to get too much of a good thing, because too much of anything isn't good, as I obviously have said. Now straight into the taste. So the Red Beast edition, what does it taste like? It has a somewhat similar taste to a Red Bull. Obviously not as good in my opinion. There's I think when it always comes to PNS stuff, the stuff really does taste good. But with this one, I can obviously taste that the Red Bull flavor is there. It's not the best, but at the same time, it's faint. It's there. It's not a bad taste at all, but it's not particularly that good. I would prefer a lot more sweetness to it. It just kind of lacks a little bit of sweetness. So for me, taste it, I give it a 7 out of 10. Taste isn't obviously the be on the end all, but it does help. But then again, 7 out of 10 is still pretty decent in my opinion. So how does this work? The most important part of this whole video, you can probably skip to right here. So honestly speaking, we're going to compare the old to the new, and obviously just in general, how does it fare up to other competition, not just local but internationally. Because remember guys, locally there isn't too much competition in the way of your more gray area pre-workouts. Literally it's just, I think PNS are doing the more quote-unquote hardcore pre-workouts, obviously with their Predator Extreme, and yeah, basically that's it. So how does it compare to old? Well, honestly speaking, it is slightly better than old. I do feel that the added caffeine was a great addition, because it does make the 1.3 diameth work a little bit better, and it obviously does give you a more of a further kick. Now remember guys, caffeine does also help accelerate focus and also performance too. So there is, even greater reason why they did add that caffeine inside, and it does make a difference. It does make an apparent difference. Again, the energy is nice, it's clean, it's consistent. That's what I like. That's why I said they don't really put too much 1.3 diameth, which I think is important, because some people do have kind of underlying conditions they don't really know about all the time. So to keep it at a 45 milligram dose, hey, it's okay. It's there. I definitely do feel it. As I said, it's something where it hits hard, but not the hardest, which I think is important, because most people can't handle something that hits too hard. So with that being said, I like the energy. It is great, consistent. Focus can be improved. There is no direct out and out focus booster in there, or nootropic. Would probably sound a lot better. There's no actual quote-unquote nootropic in there, like tyrosine, choline, tartrate, or any kind of other choline in the matrix. So that's obviously something to be desired, because I do feel that obviously when that's added in, it will make everything else work there, because stimulants and nootropics do work synergistically hand in hand. They do work a lot better together than apart. So I would rather obviously have that than the BCA matrix. Again, obviously I think this is probably going to sizzle out. That's why it's limited edition. But I would obviously have preferred to see EAAs in there. But guys, this is important to remember, that the pumps on this are absolutely insane. They are skin splitting, they are hardcore, and one of the best pre-workouts in my opinion when it comes to just full nasty pumps. And that's what I think is great, because normally hardcore pre-workouts kind of forget that, a lot of people like a good sick nasty pump, and they do not forget that. You get a like a pump, bro. So I think pumps are always top tier. The good clean energy is also top tier, but then again, the focus can obviously be a lot better in my opinion. So with that being said, in South Africa, it is honestly one of the better hardcore pre-workouts that we have, and one of the only choices that we have from a local brand. So with that being said, people may look at it and just be like, oh, they just added caffeine. But with that being said, it does make a difference, and it does make a substantial one, making this one of the better options you can buy in South Africa. And with that being said, I do actually recommend this one, and my honest rating and opinion on this will be an 8.7 out of 10, which is still extremely respectable, especially for a local company, because there aren't too many companies to choose from. It's not they've taken the easy route and just put some trash in the tin and said, hey, this is our hardcore stim pre-workout. No, I think it was more of a methodical approach, and with that being said, has produced something really good and something really potent. With that being said, again guys, use with caution and always weigh your shit, dude, because if you don't, it's going to kick you around the puss, literally. So with that being said, you can get this now at PNS. They are having a flash sale as we speak. This weekend only, 20% off. So do check them out in store. KZN, Cape Town as well. Or you can obviously check them out online, and it is also available at other fine retailers out in South Africa. 100% Nutrition, and also Impact Nutrition as well, if I'm not mistaken. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. I'm going to be obviously on here a lot more often than not, especially with this new phone. And again, much love to George, PNS, Liesel, everyone. Really do appreciate it. So do check them out, guys. And again, it's up in the visor here. If you haven't followed, follow, bro. Follow for more.